welcome back everyone. Very exciting news. The custom harness bar is here. Custom job was made by Tube Benders on eBay. The whole bar with the 2 bends in it was 50 quid. So I don't think that was too bad. And they look super nice bends, look at that. I mean, let's face it, I don't really know what I'm looking at, but that looks pretty good. Just gave them the measurements. Sort of marked roughly where I was wanting the top of the bar. So you can see where the seat, you can see a nice bit of light coming through there. Let's pop the light on. There we go. And you kind of want it a little bit lower. And then the seat belt will wrap around the bar. So still to make on the bar is the little loops either side, which shouldn't be too difficult. That's just to stop the seat belt sliding side to side. I just want a little extra bar coming down from there to here, probably with a couple of rose joints on it. I did specifically ask them to not bother cutting the ends down, so then I can, you know, make it fit where I want it to. That's worth noting, I'm only getting this information off the internet, and, you know, I used to run these back in the day down here before I had a cage and that, and never really thought much of it, but realistically, that's a massive no-no for safety wise. So you ideally want these no more than 20 degrees. So we say around here. That's the angle of the seat belt to flat. Definitely not above. If you get involved in a rear accident or what have you, and the seat belts are down the bottom, it's going to end up pulling you back into the seat and you'll end up getting crushed basically. So there's certain things you mess around with, certain things you don't. The safety is one of them, especially when you're strapped in and you don't really want to be moving around, because the other thing that ain't safe realistically in a road car is a cage, because you can clump your head on this. So you've got to be in there super tight in these seats. Right, we've got some seriously precarious bits of wood holding this in, but it is kind of stable at the minute. Just to show an example, don't touch anything for God's sake. Right, it's the view from the rear quarter. Angle's completely wrong, but you can see how much I've got to take off. So I'm going to do some measurements now. Right, so we've got a mark here, which is taking 15 centimetres off. Could go quite a bit more, but I don't want to get too close to this bend. I want a bit of straightness to get the ends in, and yeah, we're looking pretty good already, so I think we best take the grinder to it. Right, so this is why I always spend probably too much time measuring, but yeah, just have a look at this. In fairness to the company, I said do not worry about the length after the bends, but you see my straight edge here. I was just going to knock off 15 centimetres like I said. I thought I'd better just check, make sure we got the same length, otherwise we'd be taking too much off of one side and not enough off the other. Oh blimey, that would have been bad, wouldn't it? Never mind. Take a bit off of one side, even it up, get it square, and then we'll go from there. So this kind of design has started from like a universal harness bar off the internet. It's that sort of shape, bolts up to the like the top seat belt mount, and then you have a bar that two thin bars either side, like a support bar, comes down and you can bolt that to your seat. So that's initially where I sort of got this idea. Online you can also get a safety devices one that'll fit your safety devices cage, bolt in one, but this ain't safety devices cage, so it won't fit. And also I really don't like the on the safety devices one. I mean, it's probably really safe, but they've got a big tube that runs right from the center right down to the middle of the exhaust tunnel, which is obviously limiting a lot of space down there, which I probably don't have because I've run that extra box section across the back. So that probably wouldn't fit. Hence why I'm going for this design at the minute. So I'm planning to run some little arms from the corners down with some little rose joints. But now it's all trimmed down, that distance is actually quite short. So I'm not too sure whether it's going to be necessary or not. So I think probably we're going to wing it as per usual. This is a genius idea from Matt at Skidmore Motorsport. He's got a great fabrication channel on YouTube. You go check him out. You whack a cable tie around there, sits flat on the round tube. Miles easy to mark it out, and then with something like this, it gives me a nice idea on where it's actually going to sit once it's cut. So we're pretty much there. I had originally marked it so that it was in there, and you might be able to see it's going to be going slightly on the wonk, which is what we don't really want. So I think realistically here I might be a little bit, but this is the most amount I'm going to be able to take off. So yeah, that's as far as we can cut off really, I think, because we're starting to get into where the bend has been a bit squashed, where it's been curved. As you can see, it's not perfectly round, but these round ends, get them tacked into the actual tubing, just a couple of little ones, and then this end can be bolted on. Then we can offer it up nicely inside the car. Hopefully it won't go crash bang on the floor, and mark it up on the cage and weld it on. Simple. How hard could it be? Absolutely plumb on. So this is what we're looking like at the minute. Yes, lots of bits of wood holding it all together, but you get more of an idea. Look at that, looking good. Because I don't like the actual angle of the bracket, where the bracket's pointing up like this, and this is coming in nice and flat. The only thing I could do instead is move the bracket down much further, and then the bar then won't sit flat. The bar will end up sitting like that, so it'll go with the rake of this. So maybe we should try that. I don't think that's going to look right. I've been messing around with the welder, trying to get, you know, the best settings I can. I feel fairly comfortable-ish with it. Really don't want any pigeon shit on this whatsoever. It's got to be good, it's got to be solid, as this is what the seatbelt is essentially wrapped around. So yes, fingers crossed, let's go for it. It's not amazing, but it's okay, I would have said. Oh, there we are, get a bit of focus. See, this is the more, a bit that I would say was the better bit. I couldn't do it all in one run because I was struggling to, you know, hold the torch at the right sort of angle whilst running around there. And this is the bit that I started at, and that was shite. Yeah, I ain't happy about that bit. But then around there, I think it's probably, let's get the torch, but I'm coming in at this angle already, so I'm already kind of at the wrong angle, if you know what I mean. Then I'm coming round here and then pulling it along, so I was getting a good angle there. Oh, maybe I should have moved it around in the vise a bit more, I don't know. But with a little clean up down that edge, these bits look mainly pretty good. It's the same for the other side, good all around the top and the bottom, but the inner edges is not so good. Right, for the tricky bit now is to try and get this offered up level in the car with the brackets. As I said before, anywhere around 20 degrees ish is optimal angle. Don't take my word for it, you should go onto Google, have a look. Anyway, right, I'm going to try and do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this, and keep this taut and keep the front taut. It's like, here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, we've got some extreme filming going on. Is it going to hold up? No, focus. Stay there. Right. Oh, now it's not focusing on the seatbelt. What the f***? I'm not sure what sort of angle that is, I'm not going to lie. And we're not into BSing on this channel, so look, put it this way, it's not pointing up, it's not completely parallel, and it's not beyond 20 degrees. So let's say it's that's about 13.5 degrees. I think we'll go with that. A bit nervous about this because I'm not too sure how thick this actual tubing is. Obviously that is quite thick. I might just try and turn the MIG down just a little bit and then see what it gets us. And hopefully we'll still be all level, and my little thin piece of wood there is not going to go flying, and we should be all good and all the planning will come together. Two brackets are now welded on to the frame. Look really good. Not beautiful, but pretty good. Had to turn the welder down just a little bit because I was welding, melting through the actual bracket a little bit too much, and I felt like I was rushing with the torch, which I always feel like I'm rushing when I'm welding anyway. But I was having to really sort of catch up with it, if that makes sense. So turning it down a little bit made it feel a lot more comfortable. The centre bit on the top there looks okay-ish. It's not beautiful, but it's okay. This side bit was done with the higher temp, a lot more melty, but just needs a little clean up, little blob here where I think I must have missed a little bit. But down the bottom. So we're all sorted out now. All cleaned up, just got to give it a quick tosh of primer. First proper actual test fit really, with it all welded in and being all tightened up, and it fits really nice and secure even just with these 2 pinch bolts in it. But I'd rather err on the side of caution really. So we're going to run a bar from the corner, put a little 3mm bracket on here, run a bar down to the bottom. You can see the retaining or mounting plate over that side. We're going to have a little upstand on there out of 3mm, weld that round the bottom, and then we're going to have these rose joints. So I've got left hand thread, right hand thread ones, so they sit under there, bolted to the 3mm invisible bracket at the minute, and then in theory we'll be able to grind a flat on the invisible 10mm bar that's going down to the visible mount down the bottom there, and then we should be able to adjust it if this is future proofing it. If, for example, I have to change the seats for some reason, then the bar can then be adjusted up for the height of the harnesses to keep them right. So a bit of future proofing just in case, and a bit more safety. Why wear a belt when you can wear a belt and braces? We cut a nice M10 by 1.5 if you're into that sort of thing on this end, right hand thread. So now I've really got to use my brain, not go into autopilot, and do a left hand thread on this. Again, M10 by 1.5. So all I've done is put a little bevel on the end. Both threads are cut, looking really good, very pleased. And yes, I did wind it the wrong way twice on the left hand thread. Anyway, if I didn't do something stupid on camera, well, it wouldn't be me, would it? Let's face it. Let's throw it together, see how it fits. The left hand thread slim nut. Let's leave that there. And then we've got the left hand thread rose joint, very nice. See if he winds it the right way. Oh, look at that. Camera performance, that's what that is. Yeah, let's just do an example. Okay, let's say we need it there. Oh, I ran it the wrong way, didn't I? You knew it. Right, there we go. And then that locks that in place. And then we've got a nice rose joint with a bolt through it, with a bracket that's fully adjustable. Doesn't look bad. I think really, if I was going to do it again, I'll get the measurements of these and get the bar that diameter. I think it would just look a bit neater. It might do, I don't know. We'll see. Right, I'm going to stick the other end on and we'll have a quick looky in the car. Okay, so much cardboard chopping has resulted in this potential bracket shape. That's the rough idea. It's going to be welded around the edge and then drilled, or I'll drill it first probably, then bolt it in. So it can be bolted and welded, you know, it then becomes part of the mount essentially. And then this bit can also be tacked onto here, which would be lovely. I'm using 3mm steel to make these little brackets up. As you know in previous videos, I have really struggled bending it to the point where you go, well, shall I just cut it and weld it? But I'd rather try and bend it. Because I don't have any, you know, like a blowtorch here. I probably should get one, but me with fire, if you know me, probably not the best idea. I'll show you what I've done this time. It's worked an absolute treat. Got the adjustables out again. They seem to work really well. No hammering whatsoever. What madness is going on here, you say? Yes, well. So I've got a fairly thick piece of steel clamped onto the back of the 3mm that we're trying to bend. Got that in the vise. And as you can see, we've got a lovely 90-degree bend there and haven't bent this actual bit out of shape. So we've got a pretty flat bit here, a nice bend and another nice flat bit, no hammer marks, spanking. It's got a tiny bit out of shape there, just come on, there we are, a tiny weeny bit, but that's not bad, and it literally just bent straight round. Yeah, so we'll cut this down, shorten this, put some more thread on it, make sure you do the right one this time, and then we can start making the bracket for the top bit. Now I will show you where the bar I realistically want this to sit. So ideally I would like it to be jointed somewhere around here on this corner. You know, it's not got to be super duper precise, but it's going to match-ish with that angle. I mean, it's not going to be totally, because if we're matching with that angle, we're going to have to be finishing about here. And that will look turd and realistically not function very well at all. So we need it roughly around here somewhere. going to knock up another one of these bars, get it all spot on the other side as well, and then we can just weld these brackets on. Very often satisfied with what I end up making, but this I'm very pleased with. Looks really good. That's nearly the last piece in the puzzle, so all we've got to do now really is chop another piece of bar down. I'm going to make it slightly shorter than the other side, because I've got to shorten the other one down a bit so then you can actually adjust it properly, because at the minute it's basically bottomed out where it is, which is fine, but kind of pointless it being adjustable because it can't move down. So yeah, that needs trimming down. Wind the thread down a bit more, make sure you put the right thread on, yeah, and then make the other side. It's nearly there now, really nearly there. Really nearly? Yeah. Let's quickly show you the bracket inside the car, because I'm well chuffed with how this has turned out. So that goes on there like that. I had to do a little scallop on this one for the weld around the base there. So you can see that fits beautiful and snug around there. And then that little bit that I've just welded in there can be nicely welded all the way up there. Oh, I'm so pissed off. I was doing really well tonight. The freaking left hand tap has just shit itself. Left hand die, sorry, and broke whilst I was doing this, and it's chewed it up a bit in the middle where it broke. Oh, look at it. Couldn't have been the right hand thread one, could it? Because I've got spares of them. What can you do? Might be able to get that back. If not, I've just about got enough bar left over. Okay, so I think I finally got it. I think we're pretty much in the right place. The MIG is fired up. You can probably hear it whirring away in the background. That thing, absolute beast. I think that's the best position for it. You know, it looking right. No silly angles or nothing. So we'll get it tacked on. I'm gonna have to redo this. That's gonna piss me right off. Look at that. That looks shit. And it looks alright from out here. But that, nah. So we've got to nick them two babies off, and then move over a couple of mil, and that'll straighten that up, because that don't look good. Yeah, so God forbid if I did anything straight first time. So we're looking pretty good now. A look at that. Beautiful. I had to completely remake another one of these. Where that die broke, it really chewed it up in the middle, so it was fairly unsalvageable. I did try, but it didn't work. And now we are all tacked in place. Look, have a look at this. Both sides are tacked in, as you know. So yeah, it's time to take it all out. I didn't do what I did on the last one. I've got this one nice and in the middle, which looks spot diddly on. So yeah, super pleased. And looks pretty much the same as the other one. The only thing that I've done slightly different, because it's me, the hole for this mounting is slightly lower on this side than it is on the other side. If you're going to be very picky, but it is close enough. It's very close. And I think without me telling you, you probably wouldn't have seen it. So we're tacked in both sides to try and lock that sort of shape in. Well pleased with that. Unfortunately, my nylock nut, which is probably now incinerated, got in the way a little bit of my torch, and it just started to go a little bit wrong there, and it doesn't look as pretty, but it's still welded on pretty good. But it doesn't look like that, does it? Look at that. Well pleased with that. And that's me pushing it along. Yeah. Well, never mind. I've got 1, 2, 3 more to get it right on. That's the second one. So, not beautiful, but not bad. Third time, bit more lucky. I had to stop, change position in the middle, and then you're welding downhill a bit, and it sort of changes the way the weld actually moves. But that's the final one. Got 3/4 of the way round, and then I burnt my damn little finger through my gloves supporting the MIG here. Oh, I had to stop, but it's worth it. Looks good. Pretty much prepped for primer now, so I'm really pleased. The more I look at the actual welds on it, the happier I feel about it now. To be fair, I'm really pleased with it. I'll take you in for a closer look. Almost looking at it here, looks like someone knew what they were doing when they made it. Excuse the bench, but yeah, this is this end. Oh, look at that shiny. Looks like the Mandalorian's helmet. Look at it. I haven't actually ground down any of the welds at all. Apart, oh no, that's a little white lie, isn't it? I did on the sort of like the tack bits that I put on the top. I ground those down a little bit, but you can't really see that very well. But yes, so we're all nice and clean and scuffed up with the Scotch Brite sort of pad on the Dremel. I think go ahead and give this a little spritz up with some primer. Look at that, that's great. Well pleased. Harness bar's looking super nice. Could do with just a little bit more primer. It's a little bit thin in a couple of places, but I'll do that when I leave the garage because it flipping stinks it out in here. Next job is to get the base brackets for the uprights tacked on. But we need to clean the cage first. So unbolt it all. I might even try and flip the cage up to make it easier to weld, but we'll see how difficult that is, and then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The cage is flipped. I can easily clean those bases up now and weld the bracket on nicely without struggling, and I can keep moving it around to get the right angle with the torch. Also cutting those bins out, which I did before, not fully cut out, but half cut out, made life so much easier. Yes, I did a video on that before, so go check that out. Little plug there. Yeah, I mean, it took us like 2 of us to struggle like hell with ratchet straps, and it was a real bitch to get it in. So this is the first time I've actually had to move it around properly, really. So I've just been out here on my own, and it's taken me, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to unbolt it all. Excuse me, and yeah, pull it out to where it is. So I'd recommend doing that if you're thinking about putting a cage in. First bracket's on. Probably done the prettiest bit of welding I've ever done. I'll take you in for a little look. Hopefully the camera's picking, yeah, it's picking it up. Look at that. Oh, very pleased with that. Got a little bit on there, both sides. And then I ran it down the edge there. That bit's not the prettiest, but that bit's not bad in there. Yeah, that bit is lovely jubbly. Just got to repeat the process on the other side, and then we're nearly there. Just got to decide on where you wrap the actual harnesses round the bar, whether it's a good idea to put a little hoop over the top to stop it basically sliding either side. It shouldn't slide either side, but that's what I'm thinking at the minute. It might be a good idea. And quite how you wrap the seat belt with the bar there, I don't know, but most bars come with that little hoop on it, so I'm guessing you can wrap it around there somehow, otherwise they wouldn't put it on there. So yes, I'm gibbering on again, so I'll get back on with it, and I'll bring you back in for a look at the welding on the other side, which will probably be absolute it's time to wrap the seat belts around the harnesses, and there's a special little way of doing it, pretty much how I was showing with my finger then. Let's take you in. I've already wrapped the passenger side, and I'll show you how I'm going to do the driver's side, and then we can make the little hoops that just stop the seat belt from sliding along the bar. So this is the passenger one, looking nice. I've got plenty of excess here. You're meant to have about 100mm, 4 inches, something like that, just in case of any slippage. You don't want this coming out completely. But yeah, I've got a load here and there. So it just needs coiling all up and then just cable tying together, or like a Velcro strap or something, nice and neat, little sausage of a seatbelt on top. So yeah, you can see, so when it's actually taut, that's the sort of angle we've got, looking really good, really spot on, and looking super, super strong. Right, let's get wrapping on this other side. First of all, I need to take this off, because this is just a 3-point harness, so we're going to take that quick release eye off. So bear with me for 1 minute. Okay, that's that removed. Now we are ready to wrap this around the bar. So this, unfortunately, this bit is fixed on this particular seatbelt. I cannot move this because there's a join here on the web. So this needs to be as close to the bar as possible. And so you start off underneath the bar, get underneath, better if you don't have so much excess here, and you go through your loop, underside, pull that taut, and then you go over the top. It's worth noting, this is a little bit fiddly, I'm not going to lie. Pull that all the way through. Yeah, right. And now for the final pass. This one goes back over the top to the first one. Now this is the worst one. This is the most fiddliest one. You've got to kind of pinch it together, get that through there. Just like that. Pull that baby through. Oh. Hopefully you haven't twisted it. No, not twisted. Oh. And that's it. That's simple. It just proves literally even an idiot can do it. And then, right, let's try rolling this up, make it look pretty for a sec. And there you go. You just have that cable tied on the top, and that is essentially it. Nice and neat and tidy. I think that looks fantastic and super safe and secure. So now we've just got to decide on whether we'll probably end up securing these like this. and then just have a little hoop over the top. I don't know how wide I should do it, just in case I end up for some reason replacing these seat belts for 4 points. So that means you end up coming through with 2 straps rather than 2 into 1 point. Yeah, I'm not sure. I suppose we could just do one little one. It would look a lot neater than having one that's really long. It looked like it's made for the job. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I appreciate it's been a long video, but there's been an awful lot of bits and bobs to make and lots of fiddly stuff. So the overall roundup on cost was just over £100 for the whole thing. It was £102, give or take a few pennies, but yeah, so you got £50 to have the bar made, the tube made. I mean, it's cheaper for me to do that than it is to buy the bar. I could either fill it up with sand, heat it, and then bend it in a vise. You know me by now, I would have bent it in the wrong place, got upset, and then you've got 20 quid's worth of bar down the drain. So get them to do it. Sometimes you're better off just paying someone to do things like that. 10 mil bar stock, start 10 quid for a couple of meters of it. And then if you're going to do this, I advise you just probably get the better rose joints rather than the cheap nasty ones, which they work out about tenner each. Some little thin nuts, couple of quid, and then the little hoops up the top, a few quid as well, in material wise. But yeah, time scale, absolutely no idea. I've completely lost my way because I had Christmas. I wanted to get this video out for Christmas, but now in February. So yeah, you can imagine it's just, it kind of snowballed out of control a bit with time. I've got no idea, but to be honest with you, doesn't matter because it looks the nuts. It's turned out better than I thought it could have done. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. And I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. Oh, sneak peek.